Doug, we are here in Frankfurt. You have a guitar with you that, to be honest, I haven't seen with you. So, first of all, tell me the story of this guitar and where you bought it, how you bought it, stuff like this.
So the story with this guitar is, well, first of all, I grew up, my first really good guitar was a gold top Les Paul, and I fell in love with the color. I just thought it was a great look. I mean, of course, the sunburst is the coveted color that everyone always wanted and stuff, but I really loved the gold. And so I moved away from my first guitar over the years, but eventually in the 90s or so, I started playing Les Pauls again, and I got a gold top later that was kind of my favorite guitar and turned out to be my number one Les Paul. And I used to, for fun, you know, when I would be on tour, meeting different people, I'd get people that I grew up listening to scratch their initials in it. And I had one guitar that's a sunburst that Jimmy Page did it, and I kept that one just for Jimmy. But then I started with the gold top, getting, you know, all kinds of different people, from Tony Iommi to Vivian Campbell to I mean, there was a whole bunch of, Zakk is on there, and Carrie King, and Lady Gaga, and a bunch of different people scratch their initials in it. People I worked with or that I was around. But the headstock got broken on that guitar, and I had it fixed, and it was pretty stable for a while. But then I was doing a gig last year, and they took my guitar and trucked it up to San Francisco where the gig was, and it showed up broken. Fortunately, I had brought a Les Paul Jr. with me, so I got through the gig. But I got it fixed again, but I just decided, you know, I don't know if I trust that guitar on the road when I'm doing like things like this where I might only be bringing one or two guitars. So I wanted to get another. I have several gold tops that I really love, but I happened to walk into a store in Las Vegas called Cowtown Guitars, and I saw this on the wall, and it didn't have a pickguard, but it was all kind of beat up and cracked, and had a really nice feel, had a great neck, and I forget, somebody famous owned it. I can't remember who it was. Maybe I can't remember, but Jesse, the owner, told me about it, and he said it was built by whoever this guy was, I forget, but it was built by a master builder, and it was theoretically, he thought it was Brazilian rosewood, and that it was just a really well done guitar, and some parts had been changed, so and it just felt great and played great. So I bought it, and I've been glued to it ever since. So it's basically stock at this point.
What did you change?
I changed the pickup. Well, actually, it's not stock. That's exactly what it isn't stock. I changed the frets. A guy called Bruce Nelson did the frets for me. Did stainless steel frets that last a little longer, and they sound great, and they polish great. They're very, they're very smooth. And I got John Suhr pickups, my signature pickup. And John is kind of a master at he's builds amazing guitars and amps, but he also makes great pickups. I first met John Suhr when he was, I think he was at Fender maybe, and he wound some P90 pickups for me for another Les Paul, and they were unbelievable. And then he designed some pickups for Fender that were great. And so he and I kind of put this together, and it's called the Aldrich. That's what I got in this guitar. Mm-hmm. And then usually I use Tone Pros. I've got Tone Pros tuners, but I haven't changed these yet. But that's what I usually put on, just for touring. That way everything's locked down and it doesn't move. But the funny thing about this guitar is people comment a lot that it looks weird with the black pickguard. And it does. It's something different, because I didn't have a pickguard, and I just happened to have a black one. It didn't come with a pickguard. I had a black one. I stuck it on there, and I thought, you know what? It looks kind of cool. It's like a mustache or a black eye or something.
Right.
Normally, sometimes a gold top would come with black parts, like all the rings, and this ring would be black, and that's a different kind of a gold top look. But I just thought this looked interesting like this. Right. Some people like it, some people don't. But
right.
Yeah.
can you describe the sound compared to the one with the broken headstock? Is it nearly the same? Is it totally different?
It's a little different.
Right.
That guitar was a little more bitey. This one's a little warmer, I think. And this is for some reason. I mean, it's the same pickups, but for some reason, maybe it's just the wood is more mellow. It's just a little more mellow guitar. It's not as metal maybe as what I was using in Whitesnake.
Okay.
You could pump it up, with a distortion box or something, but it's a little bit, maybe just a little bit more kind of traditional sounding.
You love that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of a thing that with what I do, that I need to cover a lot of different ground. I need to do some stuff that's really heavy, and then some stuff that's more, lighter and more. I don't know the right word for it, but softer, more melodic stuff, And so this guitar works out great for that. When you turn it down, sometimes when you turn down a Les Paul, it cleans up, but it gets a little muddy. This one kind of still keeps the top end pretty well.
Okay.
And the middle position between the two pickups is really great for kind of, cleaner, more melodic stuff. But you'll hear it later. You'll hear it.
Do you know the year it was built?
It's 2006, I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a custom shop reissue of a 57.
Right. And would you tell me the price you had to pay for?
I think it was like $4,000 or something.
All right. Okay.
I don't remember exactly, but he gave me a little deal because it was used.
Right. And did you had to change the EQ on your amp between the previous Les Paul and this one?
Not really.
All right.
I mean, it's interesting with it's kind of nice when you let the guitar keep its personality and not try and really, change it too much. So with amps, and I notice, friends of mine too, with Reb or somebody, I'd notice no matter what amp they'd plug into, they would always kind of dial it into the same kind of sound that they're used to. It didn't matter where the knobs were, but the sound would always be kind of what they were used to. And that's kind of what I do too. But the guitar itself has its own personality, so just let it.
Sometimes musicians tell me, or guitar players tell me, that in studio they have less distortion than on stage because it makes the sound warmer if they have less distortion in studio.
Yeah.
And they need a little bit more gain on stage. How is it in your case?
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times you do that because it feels good when you have a little bit of extra gain to play, but in the studio, the microphones are so close to the speakers. It's nice, a better sound when it's a little cleaner, and it's more punchy. And I think that I'm getting to the point live. I'm trying to do that same thing too, and not have quite so much gain all the time. Sometimes you need it or you want it for when you're doing legato runs or things where. Where basically what distortion's doing, it's compressing the sound, and it's adding distortion too. So you can touch the neck very lightly, and it'll still produce a note. When there's not much gain, you actually have to really execute that note correctly, and clean. So it's good to have sometimes. That's why for me, pedals are still the funnest and the best way to get your sound, to get a basic big open rhythm sound with no pedals, and then you can always clean it up by turning down your volume, and then for solos, kicking on a pedal if you want extra gain. I get it from a pedal. So
all right, thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure.